σε σένα είναι.
Αυτό που δεν είναι σε μένα, μπορεί να το κατεβάσει.
Λογικά δεν τα έχεις. Όχι.
Άμα δεν μπορείς,
Μπορώ.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly take your seats while keeping safety distances, please. Allow me to welcome you to the ceremony of the signing of the contracts for the interconnection between Crete and Attica. Distinguished Minister, Deputy Minister, Secretary General, Governor of Crete, ladies and gentlemen, we're very happy to be here today, to have reached the point to be contracting, to be signing the contract of this important project between Ariadne Interconnection, the 100% subsidiary company of ATMIE, and the contractors of the projects. There are four of them from four different countries of Europe, and of course the Greek contractors. The leadership of the Ministry of the Environment and Energy is also present, a ministry, a leadership that has set as a top priority this project, the project of the interconnection between Crete and Attica. Now, against all odds, against the adversities caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, we tried to combine in-person presence with online presence today to allow everybody to participate in this big celebration, which is a celebration not just for Crete, but for the whole country. Our panel sees the participation of the Minister of the Environment and Energy, Mr. Hatzidakis, the Deputy Minister, Mr. Gerasimos Thomas, among our audience, the Secretary General, Mrs. Alexandra Zdoukou, the administrations of ATMIE and Ariadne Interconnection are represented by Mr. Manos Manousakis, Chairman and CEO of Ariadne Interconnection, and Vice Chairman, General Manager of Ariadne Interconnection, Mr. Margaris Ioannis. We also have three contracting companies seated here in Greece: Turner, Greek Cables, and Siemens Hellas. But our online company sees the participation of the four contractors from Europe who are digitally online interconnected: Prismia from Italy, Nexans from Norway, Siemens from Germany, and NKT from Sweden. Today's meeting is transmitted through live streaming and through the Energy Press website. So thank you very much. We also wish to thank the local coverage. There is AT free Wi-Fi connection, and the password is 1212. Now, with reference to the second part of our meeting, which is dedicated to the questions of the journalists who are currently following through the internet, well, I would like to kindly ask them to collect their questions, to gather their questions, and then send them to us for them to be answered at the end of the meeting. Now, the governor of Crete, the governor of the region of Crete, now has the floor. Mr. Stavros Arnautakis, distinguished minister, distinguished deputy ministers, members of the parliament, Madam Secretary General, coordinator of the decentralized administration, dear colleagues, dear contractors, ladies and gentlemen, dear former minister, also, thank you very much for being here. The signing of the procurement of the contracts for the interconnection between Crete and Athens confirms our common stance and belief that Crete lies in the very heart of European projects and investments. Today's meeting sees the participation of the Minister, of the Chairman and CEO of ATMIE, and of the contractors, thus proving the dynamism and the potential of our island, which can become an energy hub through this important major project which accelerates the energy transformation of Crete and Greece. Ladies and gentlemen, our choices need to be serious and need to be based on reforms, and they have to be far-sighted and long-term. So we believe that an energy clean and energy green Crete acquires added value and becomes more attractive for visitors, and most importantly, it becomes a development and growth lighthouse. Distinguished members of the Parliament, distinguished Minister, ladies and gentlemen, the interconnection between Attica and Crete in 2023 will cover the energy deficit of our island, and also paves the way for access to renewable sources of energy. Our comparative edges make this endeavor a top priority. It will improve the environment fingertip of Crete and will reduce the pollutants significantly. It will also create a plethora of growth and development opportunities, bridging the gaps at technological and social level. It becomes clear that through the kilometers of the cables and through the integration and the completion of the interconnection of Crete with the Peloponnese, the position of Crete on the world's energy map will change definitively, because Crete will become part of the most innovative hubs of interconnection of HVDC. Interconnection. We are optimistic that ADMIE, in cooperation with the contractors, will manage all issues in a timely and sound manner, while abiding by while respecting the needs and the requests of the local communities, such as the prefecture, the municipality of Malevisi and the Masta, and that request was accepted. Apart from the initial planning and the investment, of course, to guarantee zero visual disturbances, I'd like to congratulate ADMIE and all the representatives of the contractors on their efforts, and I'd like to once again stress that we are now shaping our energy approach and policy through this project. I would like to personally thank the Minister, Mr. Kostas Hatzidakis, and former Minister, Mr. Stathakis, for thanks to their will and persistence. We are currently present here and they have proven that the governments, that political leaderships need to act to the benefit of the citizens. Today we are taking a first step to place in Crete in a Greek way, in a green way of growth and development. We thank the governor of the region of Crete very much. Let us now watch a short video that will inform us all about this project. A vision of decades is now put into practice. Crete is interconnected with the national system of electrical power transmission, thus acquiring reliable, economical and green power supply. ADMIE will implement the project in cooperation with Ariadne Interconnection, and in 2023, Crete will become energy secure to the benefit of the local community and its visitors, energy efficient by reducing by 400 million public utility bills for everybody, energy green for all pollutant production facilities will close definitively, energy important for it strengthens its position on the energy map and of Southeast Europe, energy developmental for it paves the way for the exploitation of wind and solar, potentials of the island. The way to clean energy now opens through subsea interconnection innovation that matches the level of innovation of major international projects, with underground transmission lines for zero visual disturbances and the creation of a vanguard, environmentally friendly conversion station with respect for the needs of the local community, for the people, the environment, and the green growth and development. The interconnection of Crete now translates into action. Now the floor to the Minister of the Environment and Energy. Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me? Δεν ακούω. Ladies and gentlemen, δεν ακούω. I'm here present in this meeting, in this gathering, and it is with great pleasure. And I'm also very touched because I remember the project of the subsea interconnection between Crete and Attica. I remember it being discussed for years and years, ever since I was a student here nearby in the prefecture of Rethymnos. Δεν ακούω. And so I see now the signing of the contracts while I am the Minister of Environment and Energy. However, this project does not belong to me, and it does not belong to our government exclusively. We contributed and we supported the administration of ATMIE in order to proceed, in order to support the necessary tendering processes to reach today's meeting. Δεν ακούω. This is a national project. This is a project going beyond the borders, the strict borders of our government, because the previous government, the former government, also contributed, and the former minister, whom we have the pleasure of hosting today. So we are all collectively celebrating this important project. This project is of particular financial, economic value. We are now at the stage, rather we are still experiencing the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. But today we are signing a project which brings investments amounting to 1 billion euros. It is one of the biggest projects ever, rather implemented in our country over the past decades. Δεν ακούω, I can't hear. It is a development and growth project, particularly for Crete. Every summer we would be stressed. What will happen with the electrical supply on Crete? Will it survive? What will happen to the H and Z connections? What else can we do to allow the island to rise to the challenge of electrical power supply? This era is now the past, because a future of security, energy security and certainty now is being opened for Crete, and this will be reflected in the growth of the local community and the island, particularly with reference to tourism. And it will also be positively reflected in the field of renewable energy sources and the producers of renewable sources of energy. And the cable will be built, will be constructed together with the other cable connecting Chania and Laconia, and this will be ready by the end of the year, and both cables will be open to all categories of producers, the big ones, the medium-sized ones, and the small ones, and therefore this reality will further contribute to the strengthening and the reinvigoration of the local community. All the rest is rumor. And at the same time, the contracts signed today will lead to the benefit of consumers. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past years, consumers have been burdened significantly with high amounts of money for public utilities and eco-utilities and subsidies which have been paid in order to cover the high cost of production on the islands due to the lack of interconnection. Crete only absorbs half of such subsidies that are paid by the consumers, the end users, on a yearly basis. So through these interconnection, through this subsea link between Attica and Crete, 400 million approximately euros will be saved in terms of public utility bills. So there will be amortization in less than 2 years. So you do understand the significance, the importance of such project. However, the current project is also an important environmental project because the facilities in Linoperamata, Atherinolakos and Chania will close. The pollutant facilities will close, and that will benefit the environment. The region has estimated that 60% of CO2 emissions derives from these 3 facilities on the island. And I believe that just for that reason, we Cretans should all be very, very proud for this important step that is being taken currently on our island. And at the same time, this project also creates an immediate positive impact in the municipality of Malevisi, because the Linoperamata municipality will close. But at the same time, in cooperation with administration and Mr. Manusakis personally, we have seen to the elimination of all complaints of the municipality of Malevisi and the Masta, where the conversion station will be placed. I am very fond of the municipality of Malevisi. For my mother, it is the birthplace of my mother, and I'm very connected with the municipality of Malevisi and the municipality of Milopotamos, of course. So there will be significant benefits amounting to 9.5 million euros for the municipality of Malevisi, and I'm very glad that the municipal council supports this project unanimously. Ladies and gentlemen, I am tempted to say something that goes between a funny thing and a serious thing. Now in an era of elimination of lignite, I see protests. I keep seeing protests in favor of lignite and against renewable energy sources. Well, if I try to reach a conclusion, if I add all such protests, what can I say? What do we want? I'm drawn to the conclusion that we want things to remain as they are. We want to see the whole of Europe moving towards a greener future. And we, in Greece, what do we want? To remain in the 60s or 70s? I don't think that this is a progressive, developmental policy. And if we think about it seriously, if we pay attention to what is happening at a European level, then we will all be led to the same conclusion. What exactly do we want? Anyway, we have decided to move forward. We have decided to embark upon the European project, the European path, and this is what the current project proves. This is why, once again, I'd like to congratulate the ADMIE administration on the efforts that they have undertaken. I'd like to thank the governor of the region of Crete, Mr. Stavros Arnautakis, who is a dear friend from the years of the European Parliament, when we were both at the European Parliament, the colleagues and the representatives of the authorities of Crete, the mayors of Heraklion, the mayor of Malevisi, the mayor of Heraklion, the mayor of Malevisi, and I'm certain that the companies undertaking the project will do their best. So this complicated and important project will be completed within the timetables. Today is a day of celebration for Crete and for the Ministry of the Environment and Energy, a day of celebration for ADMIE, a day of celebration for all the friends of green energy and the environment. Thank you very much. Now the floor to Mr. Gerasimos Thomas. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. It is indeed a very pleasant day for me as well. There are two main reasons for that. At a personal level, after 29 years of living abroad, I came back to Greece last year. I'm very, very happy to be in Crete. I have wonderful childhood memories. I believe it is the most hospitable place in the world, and I had the opportunity to once again verify that yesterday. This is a very important project, the most important project, one of the most important, the most important project in my career. Actually, I collaborated with Mr. Stathakis, the former minister, now with Mr. Hatzidakis, with ADMIE, with RAE. Formulating the regulatory framework, and this project is launched right now when planned. So I'd like to thank the ADMIE administration, the staff, and the shareholders of ADMIE, because this is indeed a project marking a new era when projects will take place swiftly within the framework of a specific regulatory framework. ADMIE is a pioneer in the field of the energy modernization of our country. It is in charge of most of the investments taking place in favor of the upgrading, the electrical upgrading of our country. And ADMIE lays the foundations for what the country needs, namely networks in the continent, in continental Greece, networks on the islands. Allow me to also remind the project of the interconnection between Crete and the Peloponnese, which is also very dynamically moving forward, thus liberating the huge potentials of renewable energy sources of Crete, while working for the interconnection of the Dodecanese and the area of the northern Aegean. ADMIE is a pioneer right now in all such investments. It is important to use all such infrastructures in order to create new pools of energy production. This network, this big interconnection, will allow for new space, for new renewable energy sources, investments on the island, thus creating the prerequisites when possible, and with respect to the needs of the local community, to create and exploit renewable energy sources and render Crete an energy hub for Greece and the rest of Europe. So thank you very, very much. And once again, congratulations on ADMIE's undertaking. We thank the Deputy Minister for his kind words. And now the floor goes to Mr. Manusakis, Chairman of ADMIE. Distinguished Minister, distinguished Deputy Minister, Madam Secretary General, distinguished representatives. Can you all hear me? Yes. So let me start again. Distinguished Minister, distinguished Deputy Minister, Madam Secretary General, distinguished representatives of the European Parliament, of the National Parliament, of ladies and gentlemen, we feel satisfied and justified, all of us representing ADMIE's administration, for following many and tough fights that we fought, each one of us on his or her own side. Well, we see the interconnection between Crete and Attica starting. I'm not going to keep stressing the plethora of benefits of this project. I don't want to tire you because the previous speakers have already mentioned them. I will talk about the specific characteristics of the project, the stakeholders of this huge undertaking, and the future. It is one of the most important infrastructure projects currently underway in our country. The budget amounts to 1 billion euros. We aim at rendering it possible, active in the middle of 2023. This is what the procurement contracts are stating. And you know, we are currently signing online in the COVID-19 era, so don't expect to see us with pens signing. Anyway, we will do what we need to do, we and the contractors, as we have always done in the past, in the previous projects that we have undertaken. This project completes the interconnection of Crete with the rest of the continental Greece. We also have the project of the interconnection with the Peloponnese, despite the adversities caused by the coronavirus pandemic. And we are estimating that by the end of the year, we will activate the cable reaching Chania, and through this interconnection, which we call it small, but it is the biggest AC subsea cable connection in the world, we will cover 30 to 40% of the island's energy needs. We met with the governor of the region of Crete yesterday, and we said that Crete, that it is unthinkable to think that Crete won't be covered. Such a huge and important island. So 1,000 additional megawatts will be added through this interconnection. I'd like to underline that the region of Crete and the local authorities are very important to us, so that the project will be implemented swiftly and while abiding by the safety rules and regulations. We are also expecting the same level of cooperation for the other interconnection in Chania, and I'd like to thank Mr. Stavros Arnautakis, Mr. Nikos Kallogeris, and the mayors of Platanias and Chania, and the local authorities and the police authorities for the efforts that they have undertaken for the success of this project. I would also like to stress the sensibility the sensitivity rather of the contractor to the needs of the local communities. I believe that when you implement a project in a local community, you have to listen to the people, to the local people. You have to understand them. This is why we have always been open to the needs of the local communities of Crete. We changed our plans several times. We took further measures to implement this interconnection to minimize visual disturbances, undergrounding all cables, and all such changes increased our budget by 35 million euros. Now, recently, following a consultation with the local administration and the ministry, we reached a decision about a series of public utility services and projects. I'd like to thank Mr. Benelaus Bouquet, Mayor of Malevisi, for his role throughout this period. We started talking months ago, and our cooperation has been very productive. And of course, the mayor of Platanias and the mayor of Chania. So together with this project, we will have an overall upgrading of streets, of lighting, of schools, a photovoltaic of 1 megawatt, sports facilities in the master, electrical supply for cars, and local medical facilities upgrading, and the upgrading of the current local electrical supply networks in touristic areas. Over the past years, we have promoted a close cooperation with the Cooperative Bank of Chania and the Pancretan Bank. So we keep solving all issues, all problems with mutual understanding and will, because we have all understood that Crete couldn't wait anymore and can't wait anymore for many reasons. It has already been said that this project, in cooperation with the Peloponnese project, makes Crete a potential energy hub. And right now, Crete becoming an energy hub is of paramount geopolitical importance, as you all understand. The project we are signing today we started studying it in the summer of 2017, following many efforts in the previous years. Of course, it was a very arduous path that led us to the creation of Ariadne Interconnection, and we're very, very proud for ADMIE because within just a year it actually found the contractors and now reached the contracting period in just a year, because similar projects require more than 2 years in Europe. So we founded Ariadne Interconnection, which is a 100% subsidiary of ADMIE, and will exclusively see to the implementation of the project. So in just 1 year, we created a new company attracting talents both from Greece and abroad, namely highly qualified and highly experienced people, which will see to all the details of such a technologically demanding project, which matches the innovation level of international projects and raises the level in general of projects in Greece. We cooperated with the strategic investor of ADMIE, State Grid. We came into contact with important vendors all over the world. We visited facilities in Europe and China. we embarked upon, we were engaged in a huge effort which has come to fruition. We are deeply convinced for the success of this project. It has been planned with a horizon for many, many years, because cables last for many, many years. So we have a long horizon in front of us. The voltage of 500 kilovolt is a technology of HVDC cables. Similar cables have been built, have been created in Italy. Turner has implemented similar projects, and we aim at utilizing this technology also in the future for future interconnections. So we have no reason to doubt the completion of our project in the most timely manner and with integrity, in a sound manner, because we are cooperating with leading companies in the world. But it is not only thanks to ADMIE that we've reached today's result, because this effort had subtle political characteristics, and both the previous leadership and today's leadership have worked successfully, and it is thanks to their will and seriousness that we've reached this conclusion. And Mr. Stathakis, former minister, took a very important decision in April 2019. And the decisive decision was taken by by the minister, Mr. Hatzidakis, in October 2019, in cooperation with the European Commission, of course. And so this is why we're here today. It is thanks to them, and I'd like to thank the General Secretary for her role in order to guarantee the best possible cooperation and communication between ADMIE and the current government. I would also like to talk about the regulatory authority of energy of our country, which is supervised by ASAT and the European Commission, and which has set as a top priority the timely commencement of the project in a very serious manner. For without them, without the help of the regulatory authority, we wouldn't be here today, because we ADMIE can't proceed without the regulatory authority. So we can tell you all that this interconnection is not just a technological achievement, but also a political achievement, because it is the par excellence expression of the serious mindedness of people coming from difficult political backgrounds with different beliefs and ideologies. This interconnection is a project that proves that we can indeed contradict the national tradition according to which all huge projects are blocked and never proceed. So ADMIE, the two governments, the regulatory authority, have made a historic alliance, proving that when there is the will, the political will, national projects of national importance do move on and are implemented. Thank you. Now let us move forward with the connection of our foreign contractors following from abroad. We will start with Siemens from Germany, with Mrs. Beatrix Natter, who is CEO of the Division of Transmission at Siemens Gas and Power, and Mr. Jürgensen, Vice President and General Manager, Large Transmission Systems.
It is a great
Siemens.
honor to participate in today's signing ceremony for the prestigious Attica Crete high voltage direct current interconnector project. We would like to thank the Ministry of Energy and Environment, as well as IPTO, for the invitation. And we thank IPTO for awarding this very important project, to the Siemens-Terna Consortium. We appreciate your trust in our proven, innovative Siemens HV technology. I am convinced that in an environment of collaboration between all parties, we will reach our common goal to deliver a stable, reliable, high-voltage direct current link, making Crete even greener in the future.
Also from my side, thank you for the invitation to this event. Thank you for the project award, and thanks for the trust in us. We have an excellent team in place to deliver our proven technology on time, and we look forward to continuing the already excellent and trustful cooperation between all parties, also in the execution phase of this important project. We are very proud to bring also our expertise to this landmark project for Greece that will secure the energy supply to Crete for a long time and will tremendously improve the environmental footprint in Crete by also exploiting local sources of renewable energy. Thank you very much.
So Mr. Haka Osman now has the floor. Executive Vice President, Project Business President, CEO
Good morning,
of Prismian.
dear ministers and dear guests. We are delighted as Prismian to be working with IPTO on this important project, ensuring robust, reliable and sustainable power transmission system between the island of Crete and mainland Greece. The Crete-Attica Interconnection is the largest ongoing energy infrastructure project in Greece, and it represents a milestone for the national power grids reaching a depth of more than 1,200 meters. This project confirms not only the group's role and commitment as a key player in submarine connections in Europe, especially in the Mediterranean area, but also the successful and continued relationships with IPTO, who has awarded Prismian also other submarine interconnections in the past year. I thank you again being part of this great project. Thank you.
Now moving on to Exans, contractor of the other subsea cable, Mrs. Rahild Cataland, Executive Vice President, Subsea and Land System Business Groups Nexans from Norway. Hello, Norway has the floor.
Hello. Hello. I would like very much to thank Ariadne Interconnection for your confidence in Nexans in this very important project. I'm happy to say that we have a long and good cooperation with ADMIA, latest being for the Lavrion Sales Link, which is now ready soon on schedule, even in these COVID-19 times. Nexans has a long track record from interconnection project with the same well-proven technology and similar water depth as the Crete-Attica link. I would like, though, to take the opportunity to praise ADMIA for your impressive investment rate on new and coming important submarine energy links to improve the Greek transmission network. And Nexans is excited to be part of this journey. Thank you.
And now let us move on with our last contractor from Sweden, NKT, which together with the Greek cables will build these subsea cables connecting the conversion stations as well. Mr. Kara, the floor is yours.
Carlo Messimeri, thank you for the invitation to participate in this ceremony for the Attica Creek Interconnection project. We are honored to be seen as a trusted turnkey cable solution partner in the Mediterranean and in this project particular, which is an important step in the green transformation of the Greek power supply. With NKT as a partner, the Attica Crete Interconnection will be truly sustainable, as we will produce the power cables in our factory in Karlskrona, Sweden, which runs 100% on the green electricity. Thank you to IPTO for the contract, and we look forward to collaboration. Efaristo. Thank you.
We thank our contractors for connecting, overcoming technological barriers. I would like to tell you that the first part of our meeting has been concluded, and we will now hear the questions of the journalists. First one by Mr. Christos Kolonas from Tanea and Euro Today. When will the eco subsidies will be reduced, and when will hear news from bank loans and the NSRF? This is the first question. Eco are estimated on an annual basis. So when the interconnection between Crete and Attica will start, well, this is when the eco reductions will also begin. Mr. Thodoris Panagoulis from Energy Press also has a question about eco and gives the example of the Cycladic Islands. I don't know if you want to also answer. Well, yes, in the Cycladic Islands, there as well, we will have a gradual reduction of the eco charges, but quantitative wise, the importance of Crete is huge. Because we're talking about a reduction of 400 millions when it comes to bills, to public utility bills. Interconnection with the Cycladic Islands is a project that will run in the long run, that will take place in the coming years. Now, with reference to the funding of the project, with reference to the structural funds, all necessary steps have been taken to have access to the funding. According to our estimations, we are going to get 40% of the budget from structural funds. We have 200 million euros of own assets from 2018, and the rest of the money, we are now completing an agreement, finalizing an agreement with Eurobank, and the European Investment Bank could also participate. And so we feel very secure about the funding, the financing of our project. Now, next question. It comes from Mrs. Corina Kafetzopoulou from Foni Malevisi, which is a local newspaper. The question is addressed to the ministry. The Crete-Attica interconnection, according to your words, and commitments, will also mark the closing down of the station in Linoperameta. What exactly do you mean? What exactly will be eliminated? When will the ministry and the electrical power supply company, when will they set the specifications, and will you remunerate, will you pay the people from the land they gave for the construction of the facility? With reference to the facility, to the factory of Linoperameta, which is an issue that has been troubling the local community and the island for years and years, well, it will close on the day the test for the activation of the subsea interconnection will be activated and successfully activated. If all goes well, in 2023, this factory will close, will stop operating, and all necessary measures will be taken for the personnel and the staff, the workers of the And this is a commitment of our government and a commitment of the as well, which is the National Power Supply Administrator. So this is what will happen, as has happened in other parts of Greece, in the north of Greece. Now, you are wondering, what are we going to do with all these factories? Are we going to transform them into parks? Are we going to eliminate them to make them museums? What are we going to do with them? Well, there has to be a standby facility for Crete, because there may be certain issues, particularly at the beginning of the functioning of this interconnection. So, we are going to proceed with all necessary studies. We're not going to be needing all factories at the same time, but we need to proceed with certain studies. We need to see to specific measures for the coverage of the energy needs of the island, but the first and most important step to this end will be taken with the closing down of these factories. As far as the rest of the issues are concerned, based on scientific data, we will take the necessary measures. Chrysaliagou from Kathimerini. The stations will be eliminated or will function under a very specific or special regime. And how about remuneration? Let's see. Mr. Thomas, the simple answer, I'm sorry, I can't hear the speaker. The speaker is off the microphone. Off the microphone. We need to see to the details for the closing down of the facilities. There are many pending matters that we need to see to. However, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the speaker very well. Next question, Marios Dionelis from the editor's newspaper. Now that the project is constructed with public funds, why aren't there more licenses for the utilization of renewable energy sources on the island? Well, the speaker is off the microphone. Oh, okay. Well, now that the project has moved on, we have documented and updated our study for the potential of the two interconnections for sun and solar energy, rather wind and solar energy on the island of Crete. We have spoken with the regulatory authority, and the potential, the capacity, the potential allowed for Crete is up to 2,500 megawatt, taking into account certain cuts of 5%. And that creates a totally new reality at the level of the necessary infrastructures. There is a lot of investment interest in the field of renewable energy sources with photovoltaics, wind turbines and hybrid projects. All such investments are open, and there are negotiations underway given the new technical specifications. There are negotiations underway by both holders of the two licenses that would have created a new cable. So there is a lot of negotiation underway for cooperation between the two companies and ATMIE to see to the technical characteristics of this cable, of a potential co-investment or a separate investment. However, what is certain from the ministry's point of view is that the way is paved and opened for any investor wishing to invest in the field of renewable energy sources in Crete to provide the necessary capacity and the necessary opportunity avoiding overlapping activities and projects, and avoiding a monopoly, rather the market being monopolized only by specific investors. Every investor now has a space, rather room, and this new cable will allow for such an opportunity. There are many projects that can be implemented, and all such projects will further enhance the greening of the island and the reduction of the cost of the utility subsidies, but we also aim at reducing the overall energy cost on the island. And all such objectives will be met through all such investments. Renewable energy sources have never stopped. There are many tenders underway, and there will be a new tender, a new competition, a new tender. The cost of the tendering of renewable energy sources is always lower and lower, both for the photovoltaics and the wind turbines. And this is very important, because the final objective is a cheaper electrical supply for all end users, consumers. So the capacity is increased through the interconnection. So Mrs. Mahidratsa from Vima newspaper addresses the minister. What about the capacity of Crete following this big interconnection? Well, both the minister and the deputy minister have spoken about renewable energy sources following, and their potential following the interconnection. 300 megawatt of renewable energy sources, 200 megawatt of wind energy, and 100 megawatt of solar energy. When the interconnection will be completed, and up to 2023, we will be able to add 200 megawatt, additional megawatts of solar and wind energy. And all data show 2,000 to 2,500 megawatt, a potential of 2,500 megawatt, also depending on the cuts. Now, another question about the interconnection between Crete and the Peloponnese. Mrs. Evangelia Xerouchaiki from Nea Tηλεόραση of Crete notes that there are many projects on the main road of the island, main road access of the island. So do you see a possibility to complete certain projects by the end of this year? Well, a large part of the project has already been completed according to the time schedule. I believe that it is realistic, and the contractors have also committed to implement the specific project by November 2020. Now the rest of the projects, the remaining projects, will have to do with the cables and the connection of the various parts of the tables, but the biggest part having to do with traffic regulations, well, this is almost totally completed. Mr. Manousakis said that we had an excellent cooperation with the region of Crete, with the municipalities, with the traffic police, the road police, and all involved, all authorities involved. So from now onwards, we are faced with minor and milder, less complicated projects, if I may say so. Now, allow me to take the floor once again and say that by the end of the year, like Mr. Margaris just said, despite the difficulties caused by the pandemic, the interconnection between Laconia and Chania will be completed. The project and the will be very successful, and it will move according to the timetable despite the high level of complication and despite the huge technical difficulties, because it is one of the most of the biggest projects worldwide of this kind, that is. And having spoken with Mr. Arnautakis, I'd like to tell you that all waste treatment facilities and the organic waste treatment facility as well will be completed in 4 years, by the end of the 4 years of our government's mandate. So Crete will have a totally different image, a totally different picture and reality to present, both in the field of interconnection, electrical power interconnection, and waste management. A question addressed to you, Minister. If such an important national project, this is from Andreas Crete-Attica from newshub.gr. So, if such an important national project that will free Crete from electrical isolation will constitute will it constitute a plan for future investment in our country? What does your experience teach you? Is energy efficiency an attractive pole for further investments? Well, in Crete, investments are of paramount importance. This subsea link, the interconnection, which is of paramount importance. Then waste management. Thirdly, the airport, which will also proceed despite the difficulties caused by the pandemic, meaning the airport of Castelli and the airport of Chania has already been upgraded and will be even more upgraded in the future. And fourthly, the road access, the northern road access. These are the 4 main investment needs and projects in Crete. These 4 main projects, which see the personal commitment of the Prime Minister, will completely change the reality of Crete, will create a totally new reality for the island, and will allow for sustainable development on the island. The remaining questions have to do with the development of renewable energy sources. First question from Mrs. Mariana Zana from Protothema. It has to do with investments, and she asks, is Ariadne willing to concede part of the capacity of the cable to renewable energy sources administrators? And what about the licenses of the private parties, which have to do an investment of their own for cables? Well, this is an issue that we are considering and studying in cooperation with ADMIE and the regulatory authority. We are studying the best possible way to allow all renewable energy sources projects on Crete to proceed, and I'm not going to enter into detail right now. We are in a stage of negotiation. Negotiations are underway, and we are also in a rationalization stage, cost rationalization stage. Now, next question from Mrs. Evangelia Xerouchaiki, Nea Τηλεόραση Κρήτης. The citizens and the authorities have voiced concerns regarding the downgrading of the environment. Will there be specific measures, and what will counterbalancing measures be and benefits be? Well, we have the European policy and we have the national policy on the issue, and they are totally harmonized, both of them. Our aim, our objective is green energy. This is why our national plan by 2030, 60% of the needs of the country will be covered by renewable energy sources, meaning in terms of electrical supply. Greece is a blessed country because it has huge potential both in terms of wind and in terms of solar energy. We are going to proceed on the basis of our national energy and environment plan and spatial plan for renewable energy sources. These plans are not just our plans. They were drafted years ago. They were put into force under different governments and leaderships. They are being implemented with changes and reforms. Well, de gustibus, de coloribus, not disputandum. Allow my citation in Latin. I mean, I can't impose my own approach on wind turbines or things like that. In Denmark, wind turbines are being decorated and they constitute an attraction, a pole of attraction. Wind turbines have been rendered into pole of attraction of tourists in some countries. Anyway, de gustibus. However, we at the ministry need to apply the law. And I have to apply the law of the Hellenic Republic. This is what we do. This is how we give licenses and permits. And then we have the auditing and the inspection of the country's council, the state council, which is renowned rather, for its beliefs and rules and regulations. I was in Ierapetra yesterday. I visited Gaiduronisi, which is a Natura area, trying to see how to upgrade the level of protection of this island. There were approximately 20 protesters who were allegedly representing the local community. They were kind in their protest. I have nothing against them. What is the local community, though? The mayor was with me, and I said, "Are you against the wind turbines they are protesting against?" And the mayor said, "No, we are in favor of them." And then I asked the governor of the region, "Are you against those projects?" "No, the region is in favor of them." So who is against them? I mean, let us try to see the matter from the right point of view, at an individual and at a collective level. We need to protect the right of the minorities, of course. However, we need to see things in their right dimension. There are divergent views, but in general I see a consensus that we need to move towards this direction. And forgive me if I repeat that if we eliminate lignite, if we eliminate natural gas and petrol and oil, and if we eliminate renewable energy sources, because everybody eliminates something, excludes something, when we will be left with just candles. Is there anything else than candles? If yes, let me know, because I don't know of anything else apart from candles. Mr. Skoulas from ERT asks the criteria according to which certain counterbalancing measures are being offered, counterbalancing measures amounting to 10 million years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, given the recent developments and the consensus, will there be further delay due to the reaction of the local community? I don't think there will be any negative reaction, because I see a lot of consensus. We held very specific negotiations and consultations with the master citizens, inhabitants, on the basis of the criteria followed by ADMIE, the ministry. There were some projects ADMIE couldn't cover, but the Green Fund covered them. And now there is consensus. The municipality tabled their requests. There have been the necessary consultations have been held, and we are moving onwards. Kostas Voutsadakis from Athinaiko Praktorio is asking whether the promotion of Crete to an energy hub also foresees the energy interconnection of Cyprus and East Med. What are the developments about these projects? The Greek and the Cypriot governments have committed themselves, and both ADMIE with the counterpart and of Cyprus and the regulatory authority of Cyprus, they have pledged to guarantee the interoperability of the projects when the investment from Crete to Cyprus will be decided. It is an important project, the interconnection Crete-Cyprus-Israel. Well, this has been supported by all governments. The project promoter, EuroAsia, is now redrafting the project because we have the national part now of this interconnection that we are implementing, and new studies have been submitted to the European Commission, which will be evaluated for funding, and ADMIE and the regulatory authority and the ministry, under the coordination of the Secretary General, Mrs. Duco, have contributed to create the necessary prerequisites to guarantee interoperability in the project. The Ariadne Interconnection project has specific technical specifications which allow for interoperability, and this is why it is a project that will be implemented according to cutting-edge vanguard technology, one of the three most important of the kind in the world. And they are all parties involved are eager to solve all technical issues, and we as a country, we will support the interoperability of the project when the project promoter on the other side will be ready to proceed. Now, a question addressed to Mr. Hatzidakis by Mr. Zouraris Yanis from Patris newspaper. The European Union sets as a priority, apart from electrical transmission, also electrical mobility. However, Crete does not yet have the capacity for that, or a plan for the creation of independent stations to this end. Do you have a plan for that? I don't really think that it should be addressed to me. I think it should be addressed to the Secretary General, Mrs. Duco, who was the very heart of the project of electromotion. We have come into contact with KEDE and the municipalities. I don't think that there will be problems because of the particularities of Crete, of the island of Crete, because we are talking about certain charging stations. The way the system of electrical power supply operates in Crete, well, this is the way it will operate also for the charging of the cars. Is there any technical specificity I am not aware of? Mrs. Duku has now taken the floor. Unfortunately, she is off the mic. She can't be interpreted. So, because of the geographical boundaries and limits, there aren't many charging infrastructures. But anyway, the necessary infrastructure will be created thanks to current technology. So thank you very, very much. The floor will now go to Mr. Manusakis for his closing remarks. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to once again thank you for being here today. We at ADMIE believe that this is a historic, a day of historic importance, not just for ADMIE, not just for Crete and the citizens who will see a reduction in their bills soon, but for the whole country. I hope that we will soon meet again when we will activate the so-called small interconnection, which is the biggest interconnection of alternating current in the world, however, between the Peloponnese and Crete. Thank you very, very much.